Should you buy the PRS SE NF3? Great question. Stick with me because I'll tell you everything you need to know to make the right decision. Hey, it's John here from Play and Trade Guitars, and if you like new guitar reviews and informative buyer's guides, hit subscribe and join this community of guitar players. You'd be glad you did. And if you're shopping for any new gear, you can shop new gear using my link or scan this QR code to shop on your smartphone. You're gonna get fast free shipping and easy payment plans, and you even help me make these videos, so thanks for your support. I took a deep dive under the hood before I plugged it in and played it, which of course is my favorite part. And I've got everything to tell you whether or not this is the right guitar for you if you want a Strat style guitar with these innovative Narrowfield pickups. I'll tell you what those are and I'll show you what they sound like. This guitar is the NF3, and it was the first PRS SE guitar to feature these Narrowfield pickups. The name NF3 refers to Narrowfield 3. It's got 3 of those in here. And while they are single coil-esque, they are actually bucking the hum, and they are giving you a hotter, more articulate output compared to a regular single coil guitar. This guitar has simple controls with just a volume and tone and a 5-way selector switch, but you get an amazing array of tones and kind of high definition tones, if you will, out of these Narrowfield pickups. They have taller bobbins, which allows for more winds of the copper wire, giving a hotter, more present output, and this guitar really sings, as you'll hear in the demo. When I pulled it apart, I noticed a few specs here. First of all, it has a comfortable neck, and it has a raw maple neck, so there's no gloss finish or anything on here. Nut 1.68 inches, first fret 0.83 inches up to 0.89 inches at the 12th. One modification here, I added the PRS SE locking tuners, really convenient for fast string changes. And also you'll notice I can just leave the strings on here, take the slack off and take the neck off if I need to do any work. I've got the pickguard flipped over, and the headline here are these Narrowfield deep dish pickups. So longer bobbins, more winds. Take a look at the wiring. Pickups read 8.6 in bridge, 7.9 in middle, 7.8 in neck. Raw poplar here as well. Here's a look at that raw maple neck, scarf joint construction, and then look at the trem cavity as well. I will tell you that while playing this guitar, the neck does feel noticeably wider, I would say, as you get into the middle and upper territory. But this raw maple feel is really smooth. It's kind of like a satiny, kind of silky, fast playing experience as opposed to gloss. Comfortable guitar, cool contours. I like this white finish. It's available in some beautiful colors, and I'll show you some alternatives here as well. Everything about this guitar screams high quality construction, and I'm really amazed that the price of this guitar is currently $799. You can click my link to see all the finish options, current pricing, and the works, including payment plans that makes buying this guitar super easy. Trust me, check that out. All right, let me show you a few alternatives before we plug this guitar in, and then at the very end, I'll give you my honest, raw reaction to playing this guitar along with a final score. Let me show you a few alternatives to consider before I steer you towards the NF3. So the NF3 at $799 is available with a maple fretboard or a rosewood. If you really want to turn some heads on stage, here's that metallic orange finish, which is super cool. Bird inlays, and again, the star of the show, Narrowfield pickups. Super good value, under $1,000 with a gig bag, and I love those PRS SE gig bags. They're super handy. Now, I was actually inspired to revisit this guitar because I recently demoed the brand new NF53, which is the Tele style guitar with these Narrowfield pickups. I loved this guitar so much that I decided I needed to go back and revisit the NF3. Because I was so blown away by the sound of the Narrowfields in the Tele, I needed to go back and see if the Strat was holding up its end of the bargain. If you want to compare this to the offerings from Fender, you could look at Player II with maple or rosewood. And the other popular option for kind of a, I guess, more comparable sound to these Narrowfield pickups might actually be the new Fender Player II Modified series. I'll also point out that a lot of the Fender guitars, including the Modified 2 here in beautiful electric blue with a rosewood fretboard, is currently 10% off. You add this to the cart, you get 10% off. So use my link or scan this QR code to take advantage of that sale. That's limited time only, so jump on that. It's a great deal on many of my favorite guitars from Fender, so check that out. So generally speaking, PRS is obviously taking on the Player series from Fender in this price range, and they're actually even undercutting them a bit. So it's $799. It's an insanely good price for the NF3 Strat style guitar. And how does it sound? Really? That's the ultimate question. I'll remind you to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of these new guitar reviews, but here comes my favorite part. I'm gonna plug this guitar in, I'll give you direct clean tones, we'll dirty it up, and then I'll let it sing behind a track so you can hear it in the mix and hear it in context. On the other side of the playing demos, I'll give you my raw, honest reaction to playing this guitar, along with the final score. Drop a comment as we go, let's get to playing, I'll see you on the other side for my reaction. All right, what did you think of the NF3? Let me know in the comments and make sure you hit subscribe. I'm gonna give you my honest reaction now. I give a score to a guitar based on 3 overall categories: overall playability, overall sound, and overall value. First, let's talk playability, what I liked and maybe didn't like. First of all, since this is a Strat style guitar and not a Tele style guitar like the NF53, this is the NF3 Strat style guitar, you of course are gonna have the floating trem. I'll tell you that even as a Strat player, I tend to deck the bridge so it's not even usable. I do have this floating, but in my opinion, the trem is always gonna make the tuning stability a little less reliable than a string through Telecaster style guitar. Just keep that in mind. Also this neck, I do love the feel of the raw maple. However, I did notice that the neck felt a little bit wide. Even though the neck is not so thick itself, it actually was more of a wide feel that sometimes, especially as I was barring, you can just feel it's kind of a wider neck. And I will just kind of point that out. I upped the playability of this guitar with the addition of the PRS SE locking tuners, which are made to drop straight in with no drilling, no holes, no nothing. It's so easy, anybody can install those. And it's a great upgrade for $100 for any SE guitar. It makes string changes a breeze. Also from a playability standpoint, I enjoyed the weight. This guitar was super lightweight at just over 7.5 pounds. It has a poplar body, so that might have something to do with it. And overall, I really don't have any complaints. I will tell you that these pickups are a little bit wider, and the strumming pattern on this guitar, you can potentially hit this Narrowfield pickup in the middle. You might notice it kind of in your way a bit more. So there's a few quirks of this guitar that I would take maybe just a couple points off for overall playability, but I do love the weight. I do love the raw maple neck. It's just a little wide. We'll go ahead and give this guitar an overall playability score of 8.6 on overall playability. Now when it comes to sound, I needed to revisit this because I loved the Telly style Narrowfield pickup so much. And honestly, when I first reviewed this guitar, I don't think I was super hot on the sound of the Narrowfields in the Strat, so I wanted to revisit this guitar. And I'll tell you, this time around, I'm kind of seeing and hearing the light, so to speak, on the Narrowfields. I will tell you honestly that I still prefer the way they sound in the NF53 more. Why is that? I don't know if it has something to do with the way the trem block colors the Strat guitar compared to just the simple string through body of the Telecaster. I'm not sure, but I will tell you, even with these Narrowfields, without the noise, without the hum, the position 2 and 4 were super good. Position 2 is especially cool, and that bridge screams. The bridge screams, the neck sounds sweet, warm, and thick, just as you'd expect. So really, again, for the price, considering the construction quality and the distinct sound of these Narrowfields, which I think belongs in your collection. I think the question is, do you get the Tele style or the Strat style? I would choose the Tele style, but if you like a Strat, this is essentially the same sound, colored slightly, I think, by the trem block as opposed to string through body. Let's go ahead and give it an overall sound score of 8.9 on overall sound. And then when it comes to value, it's a home run. I mean, come on, it's easy. It comes with the gig bag. It's got this high quality construction. I love what PRS SE is doing. I'm gonna give a very high value score, especially now relative to Fender, who have raised their prices a bit. You can take advantage of their sale, but even sale included, all that, still at $799 for this NF53. That's a crazy good deal, and I'm gonna give this just about the highest value score I can possibly give. I'm gonna give this a value score of 9.6 because the construction quality is top notch. For an extra $100, you can add the locking tuners, which I recommend. And it's a fantastic lightweight singing guitar that I could definitely recommend, especially at this price. So that's gonna bring us to an overall score for the PRS SE NF3 of 9.0 for the NF3. It's highly brought up by the value score. I will tell you, if you're asking me purely on sound and playability, I will steer you towards the newly released NF53. That is the Telecaster equivalent of this Strat style NF3. I know, confusing names, but great quality, great affordable prices from PRS, and SE is the best series in my opinion, under $1,000 if you want overall quality and performance. I love what PRS SE is doing. What do you think about that? Remember to hit subscribe, don't miss a single review on this channel, and if you're in the market for an NF3 or any other guitar, click to buy that gear using my link. You help me make these videos when you do that, and you get fast free shipping and easy payment plans. I really appreciate your support on the channel. Until next time, I'm John for Plain Trade Guitars. See you next time and keep playing.